All right, I see you, Craig. Right on, buddy. Craig, you got good evening.
Good
Doug,
evening.
you there?
I'm here.
I tell you what, I think we should kick this thing off. Thanks everybody for joining us this evening. This is as close to the Reed's Gun Fair as we're going to get, unfortunately, given the COVID-19 world that we're living in. And we're making the most of technology, and our friends over at Ruger have brought in a special guest this evening. And for those of you who are just tuning in for just a good old-fashioned rifle discussion on precision rifles and bolt actions, you got a special treat. We're going to talk, and Craig's going to introduce here in a second his guest and world champion shooter, I might hint at. And one of the things that we're going to do is just set out the ground game real quick. So you'll find yourself on these Zoom sessions on mute. We'll unmute everybody at the end if we have a chance, and then we can share and talk a little bit, maybe pick Doug's brain a little bit too. But in the meantime, you'll notice a welcome chat on your screen. And so what we'll do is we'll try and respond to chats that are coming across. If you've got a question or want to know what something is, or just say, hey, what about this? Shoot a chat across, and we'll try and monitor those and throw them in, interject them when appropriate. So real quick, also, we're trying to keep this about 30 minutes. So if we're moving along quick, that's part of the reason why. There's a lot of ground to cover, obviously. But welcome, everybody, and we're going to kick this off. And so, Craig, I think on behalf of Ruger, you should introduce your wingman in today's session.
Yeah, tonight's wingman is Doug Koenig, who's the team leader of our Team Ruger.
I love it. Doug, welcome, man. There's some serious
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
background.
Thanks for having me, guys. Yeah, I've got a little bit of, it's I always say it took me 30 years to be an overnight success. You can see some of the trophies.
We love it. We love it. Well, you know, Doug, a little different format. Normally we'd want you at the gun fair shooting and putting on a little demonstration. And so I guess we'll call this the static demonstration, if nothing else.
Right.
But, you know, at the end of the day, one of the things, and I wouldn't be doing my job, Todd wouldn't be doing his job, we didn't talk about deals real quick. And so one of the things with Ruger that we had set up for the gun fair is not only just sensational pricing on specific guns, you're not going to see this pricing any place on our website or any place else. Just call us. And so maybe tomorrow, or shoot us a chat to follow up when this gets through this. I'll make sure we guarantee that gun fair price, that best price. And plus what Ruger and Reed's are doing is anybody who spends over $400 and mentions a Zoom session, you're gonna be able to buy a 1022 standard wood 1022 for $99. That's our thank you for jumping in this evening. So without further ado, Todd, Craig, Doug, I know you guys got a good game plan, so jump on in and let's kick off.
Sounds good. All right, Craig. You there, Craig?
I'm here.
All right, let's start with the American series. I would think this has got to be one of Ruger's best-selling rifles ever. So
Yeah,
I have my favorite, as you can see here, the Go Wild. But I know you want to talk through all the different versions of the American, so let's start with that.
Okay. Yeah, that's a cool one you got there.
It is.
American rifle, I'll go through the basics. They're all real similar as far as we're going to work from the back to the front. Something as simple as the recoil pad, not too exciting to talk about, but a lot of thought went into this. If you look at it, it's softer on the edges, and the rubber gets harder to get into it. So when you put it to your shoulder and you have that felt recoil, it breaks down quickly on the edges and it gets harder as you get into it. So it actually does help with recoil. A lot of recoil people say that theirs does, ours actually does. It's got a 2-position tank safety on top. We have the Marksman Trigger, which is an adjustable trigger. On the American rifles, it's set for, it can be adjusted from down to 3 pounds up to 5 pounds. A nice thing with the bedding system, I don't know if you can see it here, but this is a cutout of the stock. There's 2 metal V-blocks. That's our power bedding system. That action lies directly on top of those 2 V-blocks. So it's metal on metal. So it doesn't touch the stock anywhere else. And the nice thing about that, to take your receiver out, you just undo the 2 screws, the receiver pops out. That's how you get access to the trigger to adjust it. And then when you put it on, just do a hand tightening. There's no torque specifications for tightening that receiver to the stock. Just get it nice and tight. There's no specifics that you need. It's going to be metal on metal. The bolt itself has 3 locking lugs for positive lockup. You'll notice it's a real large, heavy bolt, but that makes for nice, smooth action. So it travels in the chamber really nice. Makes it real smooth. There's no chatter. Easy to work. It's got a 70-degree bolt throw. So if you have a large objective on your scope, you can get away with a larger bell, larger objective. And if you're wearing gloves, like where I do up in Wisconsin, when you're hunting, your hands are cold, you're wearing gloves, you're not going to have your your gloves hit your scope when you're working the action. All the barrels are cold hammer forged barrels. They all have, starting about 2 years ago, they all have 5R rifling. The standard model is not threaded, but all the other models are threaded. The Ranch, the Predator, the Go Wild, and the new American Hunter all have threads on them and come with either end caps or some sort of a muzzle brake, depending on what model you get. One thing that we have improved upon is our flush mount short action, which would be your 308 calibers. Flush mount magazine, we've come out with a little sturdier version. This will do your 243 sub-millimeter 08, 6.5 Creedmoor 308. So there is a new magazine that the gun started shipping with last fall. It's a little bit sturdier than the prior one. On the standard American rifle, that's your basic hunting calibers. It's a black stock. It's got a standard barrel. When you get into the Ranch, the Predator, and the Go Wild, those all have a heavier contoured barrel. Yep, there's the Ranch. The Ranch has a tan stock. Heavy contoured barrel, comes with the Picatinny rail mounted on top. Those are generally your smaller calibers or your NATO calibers, 7.62, 5.56. And
Predator version here.
yep. And you'll notice, Todd, on the mag well there, that particular gun will take either an AR mag or a AI style magazine, depending on what caliber it is. So there's flush mount, and there's also the capacity for high capacity magazines. So it's been great for us. You know, we do special makeups. I don't know if I got any on my rack there, but we do several different camouflage patterns for some of our distributors. We came out with that gun in the 450 Bushmaster and in the 350 Legend, which we were the first to market. It's a larger manufacturer, the first to market with those new straight wall case calibers that were very popular in those states that were switching over from shotgun to rifle. And they're great for like your state up there, Todd, northern Minnesota, for bear hunting, deer hunting. You're not shooting more than 100 yards anyways, right?
They're hugely popular, that they are.
Yeah. So along with that, so we've got our basic American rifle, and we've got the different variations, right? The Ranch, the Predator, the Go Wild, the new American Hunter with the new American Hunter Magpul stock. Those are sort of the base models. From there, we move on up to the precision rifle, and we'll have Doug talk about that.
Yeah, we will. This thing is a beast. That is the precision. We have these in stock too. So we'll let Doug take it away and run us through this bad boy.
So that one you have there is the Magnum. Is that a 300 Win Mag or 338 Lapua?
This is the 300 Win.
Okay, so you know, about 2 years ago, I got into the PRS, and this rifle is absolutely perfect for it. So I'm shooting this year the same rifle in 6mm Creedmoor. Last year, I shot a 6.5 Creed. So, you know, and the Magnums, it's essentially the same gun. It's got a, you know, the 300 PRC, and the 338 Lapua has that monster-looking brake, and you do really need that monster brake because, you know, you're shooting a large cartridge. And I was fortunate enough to be part of a group. We were in Texas, I guess a little over a year ago, and got to shoot those out to 2,600, 2,500 yards, and we're hitting steel targets. And it's amazing when you get into those big, you know, big bore calibers like that on that gun. It's just amazing how accurate they are, and how far you can shoot, and how much better they are, obviously, in the wind than the lighter calibers. But it's essentially the same gun as its, I'll call it little brother, the 6 Creed, 6.5 Creed, same gun. The bolt is got the 3-lug bolt, and, you know, nice smooth track. It's got the Marksman Trigger on the gun, pretty much the same as Craig talked about, with the pivoting safety. And, you know, the difference, you know, we've got the Arca rail handguard, just like on the Magnum. And that's really great because a lot of the new bipods now will slide right onto that Arca rail. It's set up for it. This particular gun that I have, I've added some weights to it. This is actually my production gun that I shot. I've only got to shoot 2 matches this year so far, early before the COVID-19 struck us. And I shot it the second part of last year. And you know, the whole thing with production class is you can do some add-on stuff, but you can't change the trigger and the barrel, any of the configuration. And I get asked all the time about these rifles and how accurate they are. And I swear I've changed nothing except adding some weights, trying some different muzzle brakes just to see what we can learn to pass on to Ruger. But essentially I'm shooting a factory gun, and up until a few months ago, factory ammo. And these guns will shoot, under an MOA, and with some hand loads, I'm getting half MOA out. And we're shooting targets 1,000, 1,100, 1,200 yards in competition, 1 minute targets and a little bit smaller. So it's unbelievable. If somebody would have asked me 20 years ago, hey, can you get a factory rifle and go shoot targets at that type of distance, I would have told them they were absolutely out of their mind. It was impossible, but we do it. I do it every weekend, before COVID, at these matches. And the other thing I love about the RPR is if you look at this gun, it's not a chassis gun, right? So a lot of people, when they quick look at it, they say, oh, that's just another chassis rifle. And what that term means is a chassis rifle is just a normal, I'm going to call action, that somebody drops into an aluminum, they're typically aluminum metal chassis. And if you look at them, the action sits a little bit higher because it's a chassis. Where if you look at the RPR, you can see how the bolt and everything is in straight line. This is how this gun's built. And the reason I love that is your body takes that recoil in a straight line. So again, the whole name of that game is recoil management and seeing your hits and or misses on target. So the more my body can have that straight line recoil, because think about it like this, when the bore is above, you get a pivot effect. The more in line your bore is to your shoulder, you get this. You might feel a little bit more, but it's going to be straight in line, quicker recovery shots. You see your impact. I absolutely just love the PRS stuff, and I'm so glad to be part of Ruger and for them to kind of unleash me on the PRS world and have such a great product in the RPR rifles. I absolutely love them. They're fantastic.
Good, thanks. That's a great explanation. So your choice of caliber, 6mm. That's interesting. Why do you choose that over 308, 6.5 Creedmoor? Fill us in on that.
All right. Well, I'm kind of a baby. Now, actually, the whole reason for that, honestly, is in that game, you want to see your impacts. And believe it or not, if I'm shooting right now 110 grain Hornady A-tip versus the 6.5, I was shooting a 140 or 142 grain bullet, that 30 grain difference makes a huge difference in the recoil that you're seeing. So it's all about hopefully seeing my impacts on target. But hey, when you have wind and you're shooting targets at a long distance, you're going to miss. That's nobody hits the target every time. The key is when you miss, to be able to spot that shot immediately, where it was, high, low, left, right, and then make your adjustment, whether it's in your reticle or if you're going to dial for it, whatever that is in the match, and make your follow-up shots. Because most of them, the strings, you might have 90 seconds to shoot a 10-shot string on 5 different targets, which isn't a lot of time. So you have to make quick corrections, and it's all about what you see. And even just that elevated bullet weight, the 140s, even though I love shooting it the first year, I can see a difference in recoil. I can honestly say it. I'm not 100% sure I'm shooting it any better, but I like it and I see a difference. So for me, that's kind of what I'm running right now.
Great explanation too. Awesome.
Hey, Craig, are you seeing a spike in that 6mm Creedmoor come in, kind of following what Doug's talking about?
Well, definitely a big following with the long distance shooters is what we'll see. More. The 6.5 took over the world, the general public 4 or 5 years ago, and then that's.
I think we got Craig speechless.
Yeah.
I think Craig froze up on us.
Bad connection. Yeah.
There he is.
Oh yeah. The 6.5 is more about versatile for hunting and target shooting. I think the hardcore shooters shooting paper or steel are shooting the 6mm for what the reasons
that
Makes more sense. You bet. Cool.
Thank you.
Okay. All right, guys. So now I guess moving on to the precisions that yet again, we've also got the rimfire version, which are incredibly fun to shoot rifles. So Craig, why don't you run us through these? You got one there? All right, there you go.
Ooh,
so
exciting.
Yeah, just going along with a precision rifle, this is the rimfire version of it, right? You've got a similar stock. You can adjust length of pull, height of comb. You've got the consistent Marksman Trigger in the standard American centerfire, the centerfire rimfire precision, and the rimfire precision and the centerfire precision, and the hunting models all have that same trigger. Obviously, the bolt is smaller here. On the rimfire, you have an oversized bolt handle. They're threaded, of course. I've got a Ruger rimfire suppressor on mine. You've got the M-lock rail. You've got your standard safety like on an AR. One thing that's pretty cool, and I think Doug could talk to this, if you'll notice on the bolt, there's a little black clip on the bolt. If you take the bolt out and take that clip off, you'll have a centerfire short action bolt throw. So if you're shooting a 308 or a 6.5 or 6mm in competition, and you want that muscle memory, you can either have a rimfire throw or you can take that clip off and have a longer throw. Do you use that at all, Doug?
Yeah, actually, for me, I do probably 80% of my training for PRS with my rimfire rifle, and I have it set up to throw, 308 length. That way, it's very similar how I'm working the gun and manipulating. My current range, I've got 100 yards, so I use real small targets. I do all my positional work with the rimfire. Number one, I don't have the recoil. Number two, you have to be really good at reading the wind with a 22 shooting 100 yards or 100 meters, because any little bit makes a huge difference. It's like shooting 1,000 yards with a center fire. So I get a lot of work out of that gun. I mean, really, I shoot it 20-1 compared to my center fire as far as training, getting ready for the matches. And that ability of that bolt throw to make it feel just like the big brother here, the full size gun, makes a world of difference. Instead of just the short little rimfire, length that somebody would normally have set up, you end up short stroking it when you move to the long rifle, and then you end up getting a double feed or something like that. So it's all about muscle memory. And when you get into competition, that buzzer goes off and that adrenaline hits you, it's going to come back to what your training is. So I love that little 22 rifle, the Precision 22. Excellent training tool, and it's really just a cool, fun gun to have.
Thank you.
Cool. We make that American rimfire, the standard version as well. I should mention on that rimfire precision, on the standard American, we make it 22 long rifle, 22 Magnum, and 17 HMR. On the standard version, which is the one we first came out with, there again, same trigger, right? Same two position tank safety. Bolt handle is a little bit smaller than on the precision rifle. The standard model comes with fiber optic sights. But another cool thing is, if you notice the stock, I've got a raised cheek piece here. The gun comes with two parts, right? Raised cheek piece because I put optics on here. If I take the scope off and I want to use those fiber optic sights, I'll put the flat piece on. These also come in full size and youth size or compact. So you could have a full size gun, put on a youth size shoulder piece, and you can shoot with your kid. Take your kids out, you can adjust it. All you do is take out your sling stud, pops right out, put the new one in. So it's real versatile that way. Or if you buy it for your son or daughter and they shoot it and 2 years later they grow like a weed and they're taller and their arms are longer, just put the longer stock on. So we sort of had some good forethought in that gun. The newest model in that American rimfire line, which I unfortunately do not have a sample, rimfire long range target. That's a pretty cool looking gun. We make a Hawkeye similar to that, which I'll show you here in a second, but it's just a little baby version of that. So you see how we have the rimfire precision, center fire, rimfire precision, rimfire. Good training tools. Good start with one and train with the other. And the same thing with our Hawkeye long range target. Now we have an American rimfire long range target.
That one next then. Means you brought it up. Means you brought up the Hawkeye long range. Let's talk about that. We got one right here.
Yeah, that's so it's your long range shooting gun. It's got a heavier barrel. I'm sure Doug shot that more than I have. I've only gotten a few rounds through it. It's got there again the big muzzle brake. Now that's a Mauser style action, so it's going to have a claw extractor on it versus a push feed like on the precision rifle. That was our first, I think, magazine fed Hawkeye. Now we do have several others since then, but that was our first magazine fed Hawkeye. The thing I really like on that gun, it's a 2-stage trigger, which we only put that on our Hawkeye Predators. And that model, and then our other Hawkeye Mark II targets have a 2-stage trigger. So it's a really, really light, short take up and a real crisp break. We've had some of those out in Wyoming, some of the Hawkeye Predators in our prairie dog hunts, and that's the gun that everybody always goes to, that like a 204 or a 223 with that 2-stage trigger. It's just really fun to shoot for that. On this gun you had there, Todd, similar like our Scout rifles, comes with a 3 spacer, so you can adjust your length of pull, which is nice. I've got a Scout here.
Piece on them. Yeah, I was gonna go to the Scout next to you. I think you got one of those there.
Yeah. Doug, we were talking about left-handed.
There you go.
So I got a left-handed Scout. Comes with a peep sight. I took mine off. This is my personal gun, but it comes with a rear peep sight. You've got a bladed front sight. Comes with a bird cage muzzle brake. I replaced mine with a different model. It comes with a 4-mounted rail, which I took off, to make your 4-mounted optics. So that gives you the ability to shoot fast, to acquire your target quickly. You keep both eyes open. Your scope will be mounted up front. And at the time we came out with these were so popular, I could not find a 4-mounted optic anywhere. So I went with the traditional mounting system, which it does come with rings, and the base is built in like all our other Hawkeyes. There again, it's a Mauser style action. It's got the extractor, 3-position safety, has a magazine as well. There's the spacers I was talking about. I got all 3 on mine. I'm a taller dude, so I like to have that longer length of pull. What did Jeff Cooper say? If you can only have one gun, this is the gun you have. Short action, Mauser style bolt, magazine fed. We make it in 5.56, 308, 350 Legend, and 450 Bushmaster.
Perfect.
I wanted to go kind of, what do you got there, Alaskan?
Yeah, this one is yes.
Okay.
Yep.
Yeah, I was just going to say on that long range, the Hawkeye target, you know, the cool thing about that is we have the long range Hunter as well, which is just got a little bit different stock, but it's essentially the same gun, a little bit lighter barrel contour. And I took that elk hunting in 6.5 PRC and shot a bull this year in Utah at 650 yards on camera. So they shoot, they're incredible. And I just love that setup for hunting. It's unbelievable.
Is that what you're talking about, Doug?
There you go. That's it.
That's the one.
That's it.
So there again, you've got your spacers. You've got your rail built in. It is threaded. So it's a smaller version, a lighter version, more of a carry hunting gun.
Exactly. But they shoot so well, and that caliber, for a big caliber, it just doesn't kick you. It kind of gives you a little bit of a push, but it was pretty awesome to hunt with it and take a nice bull at long yardage. That was pretty cool.
And then you had mentioned, Todd, that you've got some of the handgun caliber 77 series in, which is often overlooked. Forget about that.
Right. I mean, these rifles are so cool. I think just people forget that they're actually available. You know, they make it in the wood version, the synthetic version.
Yep.
But
you know, for those straight case or straight wall states, that's always an option for you. People sometimes like the higher capacity, but that's a great lightweight, short, easy to carry, low recoil. That 357 is a great gun for a youth, for a starter deer hunting rifle. You're great to 100, 125 yards. Or if you're like a lot of bear hunters by me, northern Wisconsin, by you, northern Minnesota and Michigan, you know, a lot of guys like to carry a sidearm because they're running through the brush chasing after bear. There you've got a long gun that is chambered in the same caliber. So just versatile and easy to buy that way.
That it is. All right, let's talk about the Ruger number 1, because we get a lot of customers still interested in this rifle, but availability and all that. So what's the status on these with Ruger? Do they build some every year? Do they not? Which calibers? We get asked a lot about these.
We do make them every year. we've got a group called Talo that is a group of our distributors that get a couple different calibers, and then we have one of our distributors that chooses calibers. So we do make them every year. We don't make a huge quantity, but there is a really big #1 following out there. I try to be when I can afford to. It's a nice gun. There's some cool old versions out there with some old cool calibers, and the new ones we come out with every year are pretty exciting. You know, one of the guys from one of our distributors, Lipsy's, he really does a lot of research on calibers, barrel lengths. He's really dialed in with the #1 aficionados. So he sort of knows what people are looking for. And every year when we come out with them, generally it's with a lot of his input.
Yeah, we try to get as many as we can too. So
yeah.
Again, if there's anything you guys are ever looking for, just give us a call and we'll get the P&As out and do some search and see what we can find, because they're out there. Just
Do you
takes a
still
little
have
time
that?
to find them.
Do you still have that Hornet you had last year?
No, that is
That
gone.
was a beautiful gun.
That was. Yes, it
That
was.
awesome. Yeah.
I think that's kind of our hit list for the evening.
I want to talk about something fun real quick. And this is something that team at Ruger and Reed's, if you want to do that screen share on that real quick, have done. This is Sweepstakes. And it's something that couldn't be better timing for the spirit that we're in right now. This is a good old fashioned red, white, and blue sweepstakes. It's on reedsports.com. It's a Ruger and Reed's project, and it's just for fun. But to thank everybody for jumping on this call, you'll see on your screen, it's a limited edition run of 3 different U.S. flag themed rifles, and 2 rifles and 1 pistol from Ruger, completely free to enter, etc. But it's on our website. It's at reedsports.com/sweepstakes. I just threw the chat out on it. But just when you guys have a moment, jump on there and register. It's something fun. We're going to be running it through for a while yet, but it'd be fun to have somebody that was on the Zoom call actually be the lucky winner and recipient of it. So I think that's something we want to make sure we said thanks to everybody at the end of this. But I mean, you know, everybody's grateful for making the time, and Craig, Doug for jumping on this and putting this together with us kind of in collaboration. You know, it's a little outside everybody's box, but in the world that we're living in, and we're kind of missing out on all that gun fair fun this time of year and getting ready for another season of shooting. This is a way to kind of kick it off. So Doug, any other thoughts here as we're kind of wrapping things up?
No, just like everybody else, I'm ready to get outside and get after it and wait for the matches to start back up. And fortunately for me, I've got belong to a private club, so I'm still able to get to the range and do some shooting and do the social distancing, but just having a blast.
Right on, right on. We're flipping everybody off of mute, so if anybody's got any questions for Doug or Craig, any other thoughts?
No, just thanks for the opportunity. You know, I think spring's right around. Spring's here, right? We're going to have a nice warm weekend. So I think everybody's anxious to get back to as normal as possible.
Yep, right on, right on. So we've just unmuted everybody. Anybody got anything you want to ask Doug or Craig here before we wrap up? Sometimes silence is golden. that means we nailed it. You know, every once in a while we'll flip everybody off mute, and we'll be like somebody listening to the radio in the background, and it's not as much fun. So, no, it's all good. Todd, any other thoughts you want to put together?
Oh, like we're good. Just remember to call us. You know, like you said, Adam said earlier, we got that. You spend $400 on any Ruger products, you get a 1022 for $99. It's a crazy good deal. Awesome. So call us. All those deals, all the pricing over the phone. You know, it's 800-346-0019. Give us a call. We got guys on the phone all the time. So,
and the catch to that is that's for a limited time, only through
the end of the month.
So
right.
We've got only a few more days left for that. Spend over $400, get a $99 Ruger. That's part of our gun fair deal. So this is the best way we can offer it, given the whole world that we're living in right now. But I tell you what, this is pretty cool. I hope Doug, Craig, we could do this again sometime. Maybe we'll pick a season or a shoot or something to work this around. And you know, Ruger's one of those companies too. It's always fun to see what's new, and this might be a pretty cool way to introduce it to a larger audience out there too as well. So, hey guys, thank you. Everybody, be safe, and
thank you.
remember reedsports.com. Enjoy your Ruger guns, and have a great night.
Thank
Take
you.
care. God bless.